The Wealth Nexus is a way of thinking about interconnections between three fundamental aspects that three resource inputs that society needs. And it's true that food requires energy and water inputs, and water can contribute to energy production, and energy can contribute to the production of water. So it's an interesting concept of thinking about the interrelations between these things at a certain level of policy. And perhaps this way of thinking about things can help us identify some solutions, some opportunities to capitalize on trade-offs between them at a national level. The first point is that the Nexus is an interesting concept at perhaps certain scales. So at the national scale, it can be an interesting way to think for Morocco or for other dryland countries about issues of water scarcity, energy utilization and food production, and so forth, and trade-offs between investing water in industry or agriculture or energy production for different consumption uses. But at the local level, I think that it can have more challenges because the devil, as we say, is in the details. And having one conceptual framework approach to trying to implement Nexus ideas can be quite challenging, even impossible. The second point I would make is that Nexus solutions should not be objectives, ultimate objectives or goals in of themselves. So we do not produce water or energy for the sake of producing water or energy. We produce water and energy so that people have safe water to drink and they have electricity. The ultimate goals of society are inclusive economic development, access to education, healthcare, and so forth. So any policies or interventions that we attempt to make as a result of Nexus thinking should be placed within a broader context of development goals. I can't explain it entirely. It's a very big question. The point I would make is actually a slightly different one, which is that technology by itself is not sufficient. Technology always exists within an economic context of where it's affordable or not affordable. Certain people have access to it or do not have access to it. And it exists within an institutional framework that decides perhaps who has access or who does not have access. So for example, with drip irrigation, to access drip irrigation legally, one has to be able to have a permit from the government to dig a well and so forth. So it's important to understand how different people are excluded from access to the technology and the benefits it offers, and to make sure that the poor and other marginalized groups, such as women farmers, are not excluded from access to the technology, perhaps because of land rights or tenure issues, or educational level, or so forth.